Welcome everybody to another edition of SNG Studio Weekly. This week we're going to be doing something really neat, and we're going to be revisiting the big TOS Enterprise that I built back almost 3 years ago now. I think it's been about 3 years ago, which started SNG, in fact, until Doug Drexler coined the term Steve Neill's Garage, which came after that point. But really, that's what started. That's what started the videos, the selfies, and me showing you blow by blow how I built this big model I'm standing next to. And here she is in all her glory, 3 years old now and about due for a refit herself. I see that I've got one LED that went out here, but in 3 years, out of all these LEDs and all the circuitry in here from Voodoo Effects and other friends that have provided materials for this, that's really the only thing that's gone wrong with it. But this is the model that we're talking about, and this is the model you're going to see built. We're going to be building the model for the Science Fiction Museum that's going to be built in Washington. You've probably heard about it. Greg Vigiano is the one who's heading this up, and a very, very distinguished team of modelers and technicians that are raising the funds to do this nonprofit museum to basically create a science fiction museum very much like the Smithsonian Museum, of course smaller, but nevertheless very important to document the history and allow people of all ages to experience and enjoy and learn about science fiction and how it's influenced our very reality as I speak to you on a computer, to millions of people all over the world, to the internet. Something that was born out of science fiction. So you're going to be seeing that happen again, laying up the parts, putting it together. Ken Palco is going to be helping us with an aluminum armature that goes inside, which is going to be a bit more advanced than the original girl I did here. It's going to be a really great experience. I'm looking forward to reliving it myself. And once the model is done, it's going to be interactive, which means that you will be able to actually control the model from an app on your cell phone. This is something that they're working on. So more about that later. We're also going to work on various other items that are always ongoing in SNG, so let's get started. So here we are, all primered and looking rather beautiful. I found a couple spots and that's it. Everything got masked off, and we are in good shape here to, well, tomorrow, to start painting the actual colors on, which will be terrific. I see a spot there. Right, got the spot. So this really is looking beautiful. It really is a lovely gun. When you see the primer on it, you see it all one color. It's pretty amazing. I have all my duplicolor gunmetal and silvers to put on it tomorrow, and somewhere around here, oh yes, we have the cover that goes on the side there for the strap, and of course I masked all this off. This is our gun sight, which is now ready to accept. I think it's just silver is all it is, so, and it's perfect. There was no blemishes on this. Is really a nice kit. I really can't speak highly enough of it. It's too bad Roddenberry and HMS don't make it anymore. More fun with phaser rifles, and what I'm doing here is, well, you know, they recommend a plastic coat gray metallic, and I couldn't find it, so you know, I looked at the pictures of the real thing. A lot of you guys have made these really, really silver. But that's really not it, in my opinion, and let me state that in my opinion, that that's the right color. I think it's closer to stainless steel, and I went up to Michael's and found this wonderful stainless steel that they have, and this is an art store, and I'm going through it rather fast. I wish I would have got two. But it's great stuff, and when it goes on, you can see it looks flecked until you start to rub it down. And once you rub it down, it becomes stainless steel. The flecks come off, and it gets this lovely polished look to it, which I really like. So it really does look like stainless steel. It's great stuff. So this is what I used. It comes close, and then I could not find a semi-flat black, so I found a flat black Krylon, and keeping everything Krylon so I don't have any reactions. to enamel versus lacquer, I'm getting a pretty nice look. Now, after I put this on, I'm going to buff up the areas that are supposed to be black, and that will give it that semi-gloss. I don't know if you knew you could do that, but you can. Now, you see this fuzzy stuff here? That's what first really worried me. I said, what is that? What is going on with the paint? It just turned out that it is, in fact, fuzzies. You get in there and you, like a brush or anything like that, they come right off and you got this lovely stainless steel look. Really nice. You can see it on the tape, and you can see it inside here, and it just comes off and just really comes out nice. So I really am happy with the look of this. And in fact, once the paint dries a little more, I may take a little steel wool to this, or some very light abrasive material, and hit this again, because it will look more like, see, there's where some of the fuzzies were still. You can see it come off, and now I got this really smooth surface. And what's nice too is it lodges in the cracks and brings out all the detail. I know some of you have painted down inside some of these slots black to bring it out, to make it pop, but you really don't need to. This looks really good. I think it looks terrific. We still have a little bit of fuzzies here, not too much. Bit by bit, it will go away. Isn't that cool? Really cool. So next up, we're masking this, and I'm going to get some black on it. Well, she's all painted up and raring to go. Now, I've got this little cover here that, of course, has to have some magnets put on it. That will cover up the battery entrance there. But she looks great. I can't get far enough away from it, and I really don't want to lay it down until, handle it till it's really had a chance to dry thoroughly the next few days over the weekend. Let all the paint dry. But it's really cool. So here's the gun. It's all finished. Really, I want to thank Hank Zimmerman for sending this wonderful gift. Of course, this is a totally authentic gun from the molds, actually used in Star Trek: The Next Generation First Contact movie. So power indicators are on. We're going to turn on our scope. This is pretty bright. And that, of course, turns on the scope and turns on the targeting scanner right there, which I've got an RGB bulb in that will change colors, which I really like. We're going to set the power on this. It should be good. Oh, okay. And we're going to fire the gun, and we're going to fire past camera. Pretty cool, huh? So the laser works really well, and if I aim it at a piece of paper like this, you'll be able to see how bright it is. And if we smoked up the room, you'd be able to see the whole thing. This is a beautiful piece, Hank. I will always treasure this. I know Mary will too. And we're going to hang this on our wall in the display room and show it off to our guests. Thank you. It's so cool.
Hi. Welcome to another Q&A at SNG Studio and Gallery Infinity. And we did get a couple questions in this time, so we thought we'd go ahead and answer them for you. The first one is from Desmond Birch, and he says, "Hello, Steve and Mary. I hope this little email finds you both well. I have two questions to ask you for your Q&A on your video. One, after painting the model with the primary color, should the model paint be lightly sanded? I found that the surface of the model is slightly rough to the touch after airbrushing."
Yeah, try a paper towel. I'm serious. Paper towels are really abrasive. They're like 1,000 grit, you know. Otherwise, you can use a 600 or higher grit, but generally I use paper towel. I really do. And I rub it and buff it almost. It gets really smooth and nice. It gets all those little crumbs off and stuff that are inevitable no matter how good your paint booth is and everything else. So yeah, I do that. Okay, great. His second question says, while watching Star Trek
TNG episode, The Battle, the other night, I remembered you having the USS Stargazer kit. I love that ship, and I have found a place here in England that sells a couple of different scale kits of that particular ship. When you build your Stargazer, would it be possible to video it? I'd love to see how she's comes together.
Yeah, well, we will. And the Stargazer kit I have came from a friend of mine who wants to remain nameless. But the kit is a vacuum form kit, and it's really accurate to the one in his ready room. It's the same scale, same size as the one that Rick Sternbach kit bashed. So, and he did it the same way. It's gorgeous. It's a nice, good size. I just got it out the other day because of your question, because I kind of forgot about it, and so we got it out on the table, and it's my hope in the next couple of weeks or so to actually start putting parts of it together, and we will, of course, videotape it.
Okay, he says, love the new video, Steve. Keep up the great work, and one day I'd love to meet you and Mary in person. With kindness, regards in England, Des Birch.
And Desmond, that would be great. So if you ever get out this way, come on and see us.
The next one is from, oh, let me see. It's from Salvador Cortez.
Oh, Salvador, yes.
Yeah, he says, my questions I would like to ask regarding your build of the Mark II Colonial Viper from BSG.
Oh.
Did you paint the photo etch parts before you installed them onto the cockpit, or did you paint them after they were mounted to the plastic bathtub of the kit?
Yeah, I normally what I do is I put the part on. I do primer them first, usually. I don't see a reason why you couldn't pre-paint them, but you know, sometimes when you're putting them on, you're putting the thin CA on, tack them on, you can run up over the paint. So if it's just primer, you can lightly sand it down and re-primer. But then after I've got the part located where I want it to be and it's secure, then I paint it. Because the other thing too is you might want to put gels behind it or transparencies, and so if you paint, you're gonna have to mask that stuff. So I would paint it first and then add that stuff. That's what I did on my Viper, and I'm really pleased how it came out. It really came out. It's a beautiful model.
Okay, his second question, is there a chance you might load those instruction videos you did in the past, for example, the Mark II Colonial Viper, the Battlestar Galactica Mobius kit, the Seaview, the ST Voyager, and those other kits you built past, which are those returning to starting out in scale modeling may use as a reference?
Well, unfortunately no, because that would mean going back and re-editing all of them and changing the score that was used. Now, I don't know that I've actually talked about this outside within the videos, within a show. I think I talked about it on the various forums and social media networking. And that is, the story is that YouTube started assaulting me literally with email after email after email. You are in copyright violation. And you go, what? What is it this time? And you can't monetize, and you can't this, and you get it. So you go and you look, and they say it's a piece of music that you purchased for use in a video. In other words, it was legal to use. I have the proof that I purchased it from the company. The company name is Pond 5. And in fact, YouTube promotes them on their site. Says you want to use some legal music, go and buy some music from Pond 5. Well, there's a small problem with that. And I was contacted by the actual composer of the music that was used in 500 and something of our videos. And it was the end music that always would start that let you know that it was the end of the show was coming. He's a very nice man from Greece. He's a hell of a good composer. And he explained to me what happened. Someone took his piece of music and remixed it. And not that different from his original at all. I mean, it's so obvious. It's blatant that it's the same piece of music. And uploaded it to Pond 5, and Pond 5 was taking money for it from people like me and you and everyone else out there. And when YouTube's little bot started roaming around, I guess they got a new bot now that goes around and looks, and started going after everything, and it went after that. Now I sent information to YouTube explaining that I had purchased the money and what happened. They never once answered me back, and I emailed them more than once. So they don't even pay attention to your claim. If you want to file a claim, you're going to claim. they don't even listen to you. So unfortunately, I would have to drop that music off of all of them and recut them, and there's just simply no way that's going to happen. So we're starting over. So hopefully I'll get, someone will ask me to build another one, and you'll get to see how it's built then. But until then, we are just sticking to the shows we're doing now, and I'm very, very sorry.
I want to add a little bit more to that. The reason we took monetization off of ours is we weren't making any money doing it, and it was an aggravation to you guys. And I'd rather, you know, and anytime someone said anything about the music, even if it was a music that we had from a friend, you know, it just isn't worth it. So I hope you enjoy the videos without the monetization.
Yeah, plus we were just helping them make money.
Right.
You know, we want to make the money.
Anyway, concludes the end of our Q&A for this session. Thank you so much for your questions.
Yes, thank you.
Please keep sending them in.
And we'll be here to answer them.
Thank you.
See ya. Well, here we are at the saucer molds here, and as I talked about before, there's a lot of steps into making this model up. It's not terrible, but there's a lot of parts, and we didn't get a chance to show you all the small parts being cast because they were already done before we started this video. But you basically know the routine. We cast 2-part polyurethane resin, and in this case this is 1630. This is brushable, and we'll set up in about 15 minutes. But we've done all those parts, and now we need the main body parts for the hull of the Enterprise. So I've got my measured components here, the A and the B, and I'm going to pour the B into the A, and I'm going to mix it. And at that point in time, I have to really move very quickly on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a gel coat, and then I'm going to put in fiberglass cloth over the top of the gel coat and put in more of this. Now I have to move very quickly because, you know, 15 minutes isn't a lot of working time. But the advantages of using this material over epoxy resin, which I used to use, is immeasurable. It really is. It's huge because epoxy, you have a lot of problems with bubbles if you don't vacuum bag it. It takes longer to set up. This can be opened the same day. Now I've got my resin mixed up pretty well. This probably is enough, judging just by the weight of it, to do this whole side. This is the bottom part of the saucer section. Okay, so that's completely coated, and that's our gel coat, just that fast. And as soon as this gets tacky, we're going to put in some 2-ounce fiberglass cloth, very soft cloth, to reinforce this material, and put maybe half this amount of fiberglass, or I'm sorry, 1630 BJB polyurethane to soak into it. So I've got the gel coat in, as you know, and now I've taken this very thin fiberglass cloth and placed it inside while it was still tacky and pushed it down so it stays structurally bound to the first layer. Now I've got another batch here which I'm going to, you can see this is already hard. I'm going to mix this up, and this is going to be our wet coat to soak into our fiberglass cloth. And that's all you need. This will be so strong structurally. I mean, this stuff's very heavy because it's full of filler, and so it's not as light as epoxy, but I'm trying to keep it pretty lightweight. The first time I tried this, it was pretty heavy. Plenty of time with the 1630 to do this very large surface area and completely fiberglass everything all in one breath. And it only took a cup to do this side. So I used 1,600 grams for my gel coat, and I ended up using 340 grams for the encapsulation coat, the soak coat, whatever you want to call it. Now I want to make sure and go around the very edge like this to make sure that there's no thin spots on the edge. So when I cut this, I can see the cutting line, so it's very precise when I lay up and connect the top section, which we're gonna do this one next. It's basically the same thing. I actually made too much here, which is a shame. I hate wasting this stuff. You can feel it going warm in the cup. But there you go. That's how we get a saucer section. This is the lower saucer section, and we're going to do the top section too, and we'll show you that when it's all done, because it's exactly the same procedure. I can't resist. This is pretty much ready to go, though we're going to let this sit all night. I wanted to show you how quickly, and you could never do this with epoxy. This is how fast we're going to get this out of the mold. And there you go. It's absolutely beautiful. There's not a single flaw. So we're gonna put that back in there and let that, keep its shape overnight. But that concludes that part. We're rolling, Mary says. Well, we're back at this, and peeling this up. This is very lightweight, as this is, because I actually was able to make it lighter this time. But I'm a little concerned that there might be some warping here. There is a structure that goes in here, which is several arms going across, bulkheads going crisscrossing like this that support this shape. But although it holds its shape well, it's got some flex to it. So rather than have problems with getting it to fit well, I'm going to make sure it's reinforced with this fiberglass tape, which is really thick. So I've got my 2-part resin here. I'm going to pour this one into that one and mix it all around, and we're going to beef this up. As soon as I put that in there. And this is our 1630 again, just in case you're skipping through the video and didn't catch that part. And stir it up. Just 2 parts polyurethane. Everything in the world's made out of this now. Every figurine you ever buy. Hardly anyone uses plaster anymore, anything like that. Okay, it looks pretty good. I'm really glad the viscosity of this seems to be thinner than it used to be. I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to kind of soak it in. The theory is that it will go all the way through that and stick to the other side, which it doesn't seem to be doing, because although it's not that viscous, it might help to do a little of this for these thicker areas. There it goes. Working with this material very much the way you do with epoxy resin. When we're going to take both of these pieces out of the mold soon, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay up a engineering hull next. And that only leaves the nacelles once we get these 2 major sections poured up. And then we have all the parts, which I'll show you later, all the small stuff. So, dab, 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 stipple, stipple, stipple. I know this is going to make it a little heavier, but it's going to really hold its shape well. And since this is a thin upper section, we don't want to have it looking warped. I know it's a warp ship, but we don't want to be that warped. It's starting to thicken on me already a little bit, but it is only designed to be workable for about 15 minutes. And that's the beauty of it. It sets up so fast, we'll be able to open this today. And it's all soaking in nice, looking good. And we'll just take what's left over and kind of do that, making sure it's all down. And we'll come back and we'll open this in a little bit, but we're going to go over to the other side of the studio and we're going to lay up an engineering section. So we have the engineering section here, which you'll recognize, and this has been pre-cut because this will be the fiberglass that's going to give it its strength. I'm going to pull that out there, and you can recognize, you can probably see the windows and everything, and the details. And I'm going to use the same material again, and I'm going to mix it up very thoroughly here, and hopefully get both sides with this one batch, but I may have to do it twice. You've seen this before, but I did want to show you the actual mold to the engineering section. And these molds are, geez, they're going on 3 years old now. Over 3 years, I guess. And this is the 1065 silicone, which is really, really great stuff. I get this from BermanIndustries.com. So we're going to get this, looks like I can do both sides, which is good. And you've seen this before. So we're just going to go ahead and forge ahead and do the other side. We will come back and show you this because I'm going to do the fiberglass, which you've also seen. And we will show you the finished pieces and actually pull them out of the mold. So here are all the small parts that I cast up for the big enterprise. And you'll recognize some of these parts from the real actual model, which this will eventually be. Nacelle parts here. These are impulse engines. This goes on the bottom of the saucer section. This is our hangar bay. This is the bridge section that goes on top of the saucer. The actual bridge is this part here. Deflector. You know, all this stuff is raw out of the molds. Of course, it has to be cleaned up and primered. Our end caps, our Buzzard collectors, pooey. The pegs that mount this to this, like so that is how that's held together. So these are all the parts that are integral. The things that I'm missing are the pylons, and normally I fill these up solid, and I put a tube through here that you can feed the wiring through, and it can cause slight bending over time. So Ken Palco is going to be, because he's building one of these too, Kenny. I sent him one to build. He wanted one, so I sent him one. But he's making an aluminum armature to fit inside this model, and so we want to be able to have this be hollow so that we can accommodate the aluminum armature going through this. So I'm going to cast these up tomorrow in the same material, but I'm going to put thin fiberglass cloth in there and then reassemble these over the actual aluminum framework once Kenny gets that to us. Here's our nacelle molds, and they're still in good shape too. So we're going to cast these up tomorrow, and those are the supporting jacket or mother mold on the plaster part. And there's of course the inside you'll recognize. For all those of you that are familiar with Star Trek and the Enterprise, you'll recognize it right away. These will also be, of course, cast up hollow. They have to be. And this peg here connects exactly to this peg here from these two parts, which is how they interlock together. But you'll see more of that tomorrow when we have the fun of laying up these two nacelles, which actually brings us, once these parts here are laid up, we have everything except Elliot Brown's photo etched parts for this, which I know he's probably already done and sent to us, knowing him, for this. And the Buzar collector domes. I need to get the ones that go on the inside so that they turn. So that's what's left to do. So more on that tomorrow. So here we are. I have trimmed the parts, and of course they have to be final sanded. But I just used a pair of scissors to trim off the flash, which is pretty hard to do with West Systems epoxy and glass. It went very, very fast, and you can see we have a whole hot saucer section, and I don't think you can see it very well in this lighting, but we have all the window detail up here on the edge. All the scribe lines are in place on this. You can see what it looks like on the inside, which isn't bad for working with two-part resin. You can see a lot of the scribe lines, I think, now. The landing gear that were never used, and there are some irregularities that would appear, but that's actually just the darkness and color of the resin. So this is perfect and ready to start being drilled out for lights, for windows and lights and all that kind of stuff. And here's our engineering section, which also came out very, very well. I just taped it together here so we could have a look at it. Again, you can see the really nice window scribing that's all still very much intact, which tells me where to drill and file and sand out the windows, which has to be done on this model. So what is left to do, of course, is to make up the pylon castings and the nacelle castings, and that will give us all the parts we need except for the internal armature that Ken's going to make to start building this model. So the next step is to lay up these last molds here. Well, what a great week we had, and I want to thank you all for joining Mary and me on the journey of SNG, of making all kinds of wild and crazy stuff. We will be back, of course, next week with another show. We really hope that you will continue to subscribe and push the button for subscribe. And also, let's not forget, we're going to see the picture of the week taken by Mary. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great week.